going to introduce our speaker. I think he's known to most of us, nearly all of us, but he's certainly got a story to tell. When I saw, I built him up for this story, because I thought he needed plenty of people here to listen to it, and we even recorded it as well. So, with that, Wyndham, the stage.
Oh! Really? John, I don't know why you asked me to talk, actually. You could do the job just as easy cracking jokes all afternoon. You know what I mean? And I was going to talk about the build-up as well, and to be writing it down there. Yeah, it's strange. I've done this before. Introduction says this, all right, only bullet points. Most of you know me, but my name is Wyndham, and I'm a recovering alcoholic. I've been recovering for just over 25 years, a day at a time. And I always say this, not like as far as I'm concerned, people that don't believe in miracles, when you're looking at them. Because I also am a walking miracle, because if you knew me when I was drinking, well, you wouldn't want to associate yourself with me, that's all I'm going to say, right? Because I wasn't a good guy. I'm not pretty good. I'm not very good now, but you know what I mean? I want to tell you a few facts first. You know, 1.4 million UK, 1.4 million people are alcohol dependent in the UK. Drink kills more every year than any other drug. 33,000 and increasing. And these are facts. Highest death rates in men and women are between the age of 57 and 74. Fact. Alcoholism is an illness. Fact. It's also hereditary. Fact. But it can, when I say hereditary, right, it might not be alcoholism, but the addictive personality. I won't say too much about that because there's a story attached to that. You know, you're never free. Some, you know, or I ask the question to people, how many drinks do you think it takes for me to get drunk? Some people will go 6, 8, 10, 12. It's not just one. Because once I've had that first drink, Wyndham will know when to stop. Or normally pass out. And then wake up and think, oh, I'll never go. It's another story. Addiction, an addictive person affects at least 8 people. Family, colleagues, friends. Powerful, uncontrollable, craving obsession. And then, you know, people can go without drinking for months. Doesn't mean they're not alcoholic. You know, they're a different form. It's quite hard to explain. They're different forms of alcoholism. You know, you've got everybody, everyday drinker, but people can go months. You know, if I went a week without drinking, I think I'm not alcoholic. I celebrate. Stop drinking, you know, away we go again. And there's a fine line between a heavy drinker and an alcoholic. And once you're over that line, you don't go back. You cannot, you know, people say, oh, once you know, you can have a drink. No, you can't. There is no, once you are an alcoholic, you are always an alcoholic. You can never take that away. You can't. Because like I said, one drink will start me off. Don't get me wrong, like I have one drink now, right? I wouldn't say, oh, look, I have 10. Two, that's all almost, you know, 25 years. But progressively, I would get back in months, years, whatever, to where I was then. And it's a fact. It's, you know, you just can't do anything about it. Those who attend AA have family members attending Al-Anon are more likely to recover over time because you get in, not only the alcoholics getting help, but the family, wife, and to deal with me. She still has problems dealing with me now. And sober, so you know, you can imagine what it was like there. You don't know. So I go into my story a little bit, just in case anybody didn't realise, I am from Wales.
No.
Revelation.
Okay, yeah, I could do that. Yeah, the last, when I last went to the AA, it's surprising that how many more women are becoming alcoholics. It's always associated with men, mostly, but it's actually starting, getting worse. Right, as I said, I'm from Wales, obviously. My grandfather, my father, worked in the mines, drinking environment, because when you finish work, very, very rare, he was black as you were. You went straight home for a bath, you called in the nearest pub, and that's the way it was. Back, way before my time, obviously, I can't even remember that far back. I actually worked in the mine as well, but an iron ore mine I worked in. I had an apprenticeship there. Started when I was 15. I went underground and I went as a fitter. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it. The camaraderie with miners. A lot of people were second to none. And it really was, I won't go into the part of jokes I would play when you were underground because we frustrated, you've got to remember that. Or simple as that. And then 15, and I was, another thing with most Yorkshire is especially brass bands. I played in a brass band from the age of about 7 or 8, I think I was. But of course, when I come up to 15, and I played rugby, obviously, when I came to 15, then I had to make a choice. Rugby, brass band. Rugby Saturday, competitions with brass band for Saturday. No competition. Rugby all the way. And it wasn't even a thought, but quite disappointed my father because he used to play in the band as well. But of course, as you would know, when you play rugby, even at the age of 15, alcohol is involved. I was in youth rugby then, and it would be a pint of squash on the table, but you'd have a shelf for long, and there'd be a pint of whatever under the table. I always remember the first 2 pints there. I thought, oh, this is now. With 2 pints of shandy, and then going home. My mother was saying, but I didn't even go over there, and I walked straight into there and go, boom. I wasn't running around that, I walked funny. There was a bit of a row. And it's strange, I started quite confident, but I had no confidence as a child. And then as a youngster, 15, and all for, if the phone rang, I would, not that we had a phone actually, but if it did, I certainly would answer it. I don't, and if the phone anybody, I'm still in a bit like that now. If she said, Linda said, oh, you need the phone so? No, not for me, thanks. No, I don't know. I didn't enjoy things like that. But it's all a confidence thing. It was terrible. And then I was moving on, and of course I played rugby, enjoyed it, got drunk, started courting, got in trouble, and at 17 years of age, I got married.
What time? 17?
17, yes.
Not married?
Yes. Not to Linda.
Oh,
Sorry about that. By the time I was 18, I was a child, obviously. That's why I got married at 17. Just in case you missed that bit. I didn't know that before I let you go. And there were 3 others to follow. The mine closed down, and so I'm out of a job for 6 months. And the Royal Mint had just opened up in South Wales. And I must have applied sometime. And of course I got a letter then saying, there's a place here. So I worked there for 5 years. I enjoyed it, but the chance came in. They were laying off people, so I took voluntary redundancy. The money, and that was fine. It was good. I had 5 years then. I enjoyed it. I played rugby for the Royal Mint. And it great, civil service. And if you needed time off from work to represent your works, civil servants, you had time off. Oh, I loved it, you know what I mean? And if it could please have training sessions when I'm supposed to work nights. So I didn't have to go to work on a night. And, but then, you know, drinking again. Drink was involved in that. I remember we had the French window, we played them in a French parliament, you know. But in the night then there was this blue window mint canteen for them. And they decided to put me on the cloakroom duties. This was open to everybody, so everybody was coming in. So I'd been drinking for a little while, obviously after the game and all that. So I was supposed to take a coat, hang it up, and give them a raffle. I'll give them a raffle ticket. They want them tickets. Raffle, while I got drunk, I thought, I can't enough of this. I just take coats and just hang them up. Off, you know, get on with it. It was great until come the end of the night and they wanted their coats back. Now, by this time, right, I've been drinking for a long time. And there was most people were quite fine, but there was one who was a bit awkward. More likely he had too much to drink, I was fine. And an argument ensued, so I said, yeah, go find your coat. Pick anyone you like, I don't care.
You took the link.
Hey, we're in South Wales now, nobody goes there anymore. And yeah, and I took, you know, it was a great time to voluntary and see money. And then I learned to drive, which I was quite old when I was in my 80s when I was driving. Oh, I didn't want to drive, stop me drinking. You know what I mean? But I did drive, and that's what it was. I did a little job then when I finished work. In Wales it was called hobbling, i.e. off the books. I don't know what they call it in the rest of the country. That's what it was, hobbling. Off the books, and they kind of disguised it. And it was for a corner shop. Used to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, drive this van to Cardiff, the Bessemer Road Market, pick up the fruit and veg from the local shops. And I loved it. You know, great. And it was a strange thing, and 5 years ago, I was getting it. It took me on full time. You know, I know I get in there. It took me on full time, you know, and that was a bit money. But it was great because I could claim family income support. And he would then pay me a little cash besides. So I was on with money. The problem with this corner shop was as well, it was an off-license. Now, you can imagine, unbelievable. You know, I didn't go, still got up at 5 o'clock in the mornings, but I didn't go to the market anymore, somebody else did that. I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning and would open the shop, put all the fruit and veg out, and then start drinking. You know, and I would vary it, because like pints of sherry. I would say sherry from the wood, but the wood had gone and it was plastic drums, you know, so and I'd be serving people this. I was more than like, it must have lost some money because I gave people, you don't have to pay for it. But, yeah, and my boss was a good mate of mine as well, and I don't think he knew what was going on, I'll be honest with you, you know. And I was always a secret drinker. Nobody knew, my ex-wife didn't. Until she found some cans which were hidden in the house and thought we were a problem. And there was a few arguments that always were anyway, you know. And, you know, nobody understood. You know? You drink if you have any problems. But, so she said, right, you can sort yourself out. And I always remember going to the doctors. It's really odd. Went to the doctor, and the doctor I saw actually was the rugby doctor. He's on the touchline. So he knew me quite well. And he just said, yeah, you've got a problem, go to AA. 4 years, he said, stay off the booze for 4 years. You should be fine then. You're right. I didn't go to AA, but I stayed sober for 4 years. But they were the worst 4 years of my life, because before anybody was here, I know like it now, I was the most miserable person you could. Oh, I'm telling him now, I would love my music and the earphones on and I cut the world out. I didn't change. That's something you need to do, man. I just went from worse to worse. And And I was working in the shop one day then, and my ex-boss came in for a minute, the manager. He said, well, things went. I said, okay, fine, because I got on my work. I said, you happy here? I said, yeah, do change. I'll look into it for you. Didn't think I would do anything, and then about a month later, I get a phone call from the Romans. Would I like to start? Yeah, get back to work. And I did, as a cleaner, cleaning toilets. Hey, you've got to start somewhere, you know, front in the door, civil service, pension. Oh, I tell you what a job that was. We won't go into that, right? But I was a cleaner. And, but I, you know, I worked my way up quietly, obviously. But I was still soberish. Yeah, I was still sober then. Yeah, when I still wasn't drinking. But it was strange. I got then, but my ex-wife then started drinking really heavily. Oh yeah. And she's actually married to my best friend now, or ex-best friend. So I might tell you. She was a blower. I was 2 o'clock when I won't do that, I won't. But I get sober, she gets drunk. Something wrong with this, I'm not sure. And that's the way it was, you know. And then I I've always done sport. My rugby days were behind me. I started road running. I was like Forrest Gump. I'd run everywhere. And I was sober, gone. But I started drinking again. After 4 years, I went back on it. And it escalated, and we split up. She said, you better leave. So I did. I went to live with my mother. I came back for a while, and then it escalated again. She asked me to leave. And it was strange, because every time she asked me to leave, she was always asking me to leave. I didn't want to. I was quite happy with my drinking. It didn't seem to be upsetting anybody. And I just went on in the end. And, I think the second time I went, I thought, I don't think I'm going to go back now. It's quite good. I only got it myself. So, and she was actually, I didn't know at the time, see my ex-girlfriend. And then I got involved with a married woman then. Not in that, honest. Who was a bit of a, you know what I mean? It just went, as if, And by the way, before I went, I must say I wasn't a Christian then, right? Believe it, I wasn't. In fact, I was quite the opposite. And I lived with my mother, because I had nowhere else to go. My stepfather, and actually, my grandmother was living there, and her fancy man. Hey, let me tell you, there's a load there, and I ain't going there, let me tell you. They're all got skeletons in a closet. Let me tell you, you should have seen my family's closet. It's unbelievable. I'm telling you now. So they were there, old people. And I started living there. Of course, I started drinking like a fool. And it's quite built up. 4 years quite. And I used to go out all hours, drinking, smoking, things you shouldn't smoke, marijuana and stuff like that. And I used to come home, and my stepfather was quite a drinker as well. So he used to drink in the same pub. So we'd help each other home. And the one, I remember one night, I got back and I'm starving. My stepfather would fall asleep. Pizza. Pizza, very easy to do. That's all I was going to say before I started, but please knock the phones off. Anyway. The pizza, so I thought, right. Pizza in the microwave, job done. In the microwave, pressed what I thought was 3 minutes, whatever. Sat down, fell asleep. Woke up with my stepfather shouting and screaming at me, and the house full of smoke. I thought, oh, what's going on here then? I am lit a cigarette and off. The pizza! But of course I hadn't put it on for 3 minutes, I put it on for 3 hours. Now, I don't say I'd slept for 3 hours, but I'm telling you now, right? When I went out, grabbed all the windows, obviously, to get this. When I went to the microwave to get the pizza, it was like a digestive biscuit. After a I cracked. I landed this tooth.
What did it taste like?
I don't know what I did. I said, what if I didn't eat it? And the following morning was the inquest. You could have killed your grandfather, your grandmother, you could... So what do? I just go for a run. Even when I'm thinking, I just probably just disappeared. No? Anyway, and then the pub I used to go to, and Linda started frequenting. I don't know, my husband was with actually. Oh, we don't know.
So I was divorced.
Oh, we do, what's that? No, doesn't say that on you, eh?
The drink will make you remember.
Hey, that's why I use an excuse now, it's not just getting old.
No, it's a permanent separation.
That's right, I thought, yeah. So she came in and I knew her sister really well. I knew her sister better than her. I knew her sister because we used to drink together. Nothing untoward, just good drinking buddies. And I think she said to Linda something about it. And Linda never ever wanted, not that she was going to have any children, but need full stop with that snip then, but she never ever wanted ginger-headed children. So I assumed that she wouldn't work with a ginger-headed person, you know, because it wasn't really bad then. But well, she came in the palace, saw me, and you know she won't tell us. But I say only the reason she fancied me was because she quite fancied my backside, so we moved the table, then super. No, that's not good, isn't it? But that was it. So I thought, so I don't know what she'd been at. I said, right, Jacob, where? Look from you. But I didn't see her for a long time after that. I found out then she picked up with this other guy. What, ginger man as well? He came to the pub. I thought, oh, I'm doing the rounds. But that, you know, that's the way. And in time we got together. We were on holidays to Crete. First holiday for me abroad. Flying. Drinking on the plane. Sort yourself out, no problem. To fly anywhere. I was flying at the time, I'm sure I wasn't. You know what I mean? Went to Crete, well, I go for a walk, and we stayed there, I'd be drinking, and how I found my way back to hotel, I'm still the same now. You know, I got lost, but how I found my way around, and she, with a beer, just before walks and fresh air. And Linda didn't know that I had a drink problem. She never did. We moved in together, 2 teenagers, got engaged, she had 2 teenagers, and I was drinking like, always used this group, well, because I was always passed out by the time, because Linda was there, but it's actually she didn't come home till 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, and I'd be looking at her. I said, I'm tired. You know, you work shifts, you'll be tired. I had nothing to do with being tired, you know, I was tired. It was alcohol all the time. You know, and after a while, Linda interfered with my drinking. She didn't know it, but she was there all the time. So it interfered, so I left. I thought, well, I had enough of this, and I leave my daughter, which I did. Sold the engagement ring, made sure I had that back. And sold it. Which really helped the wife, you know, helped me a long way, financial together. Oh, what happens, you can imagine, can you? And I lived with my daughter for a while. The only problem was I was supposed to be paying her, been there to pay the rent, and I thought I had. Until I decided, oh, I'll try and make it up with the other which we did. And then my daughter phoned me, she said, Dad, I just had a bill from the council to councillors. If I don't pay the bills, I'm going to be evicted in a couple of weeks' time. She said, I thought you'd been, because I used to pay. I don't even remember, I just never paid it. But I just, so that, you know, put me and my daughter were like that, you know? I think not. So I had to pay that off. Actually, Linda had a lot of debt. You know, when you're an alcoholic, right? You never got money. You always found it from somewhere to buy drink. You know, it was there. Credit cards wouldn't buy the biggest thing. Just get it from there. And in the end, Linda paid them off. She didn't know what they were for, just paid my bills off. And got back together. And after a while, I walked out again, bought a house. I couldn't look at a house, right? I just bought it. I said, yeah, that way. Didn't argue, I don't think it's right. Yeah, buy that, right? And I lived there for about 6 months. Oh, absolutely walked up all the time. And the thing was, I used to be this, this guy who used to work as well. And he was exactly the same as me. I thought, right, he didn't work, I did. And he wouldn't pay me any money. Every Friday, we'd go to the pub and he'd buy me 6-8 pints of Strongbow. And I'd drive a car. I'm proud, that's the way it was. And then she reported me to the police, given my registration on the car, so she still didn't know I'm alcoholic, but because she knew I was drinking, but they never caught me. Too clever, but
Tell them where you worked as well.
I told them about the guys over the, yeah, it's over the, you know, I meant to get in touch actually. They had a few stories, you know. I'll tell you a few stories, but like his son, I think it must have been, we guess it was a Saturday. He wasn't feeling very well, he was lying on the settee, he was blanket over, I think it flu or cold or man flu or whatever, but he was a boy. And I was drinking as normal, and went to bed, got up Sunday morning to go to work. I never failed work, always work. I wouldn't say when I got there I did a lot, but I also failed work. Yeah, and so I went to work this Sunday morning, and about 10 o'clock-ish there, my boss came up and he said, there's a phone call for you. It's your wife. I don't know if she was my wife then, actually. Anyway, so I don't know. She said, what happened to you last night? I can remember, son. You went to bed? Yeah, she did. She said, we got up for a week, and I got 10 days, like being a bit of a youngster, and I'm not close. She said, you got up to go to the toilet, and you got in bed with Mark. She said, you got him pinned against the wall, and he's ill. And then he just got out of bed and got downstairs. But when I got up for work, I thought he slept down there all night, but he'd slept there because I pinned him to the wall. And I thought, oh, I'm sorry about that, but I said, hey, it could have been worse. I could have gone back in bed with an 18-year-old daughter. He was in the other bed. You know, you've got to look on the bright side of things sometimes, you know? It could have been all worse. And you know, I used to go, Sunday morning was my favourite, go to church, no? But Sunday morning was all days were my favourite days for drinking, you know, but Sunday morning, it would be so good because she wouldn't work on a Sunday, you know what I mean? So I have to put up with Linda being about all the time, so my drinking was curtailed, maybe a little bit, but my excuse there was, right, Sunday morning I need to go to the newsagents, which was also one for cents. And I get the biggest paper, you know, like the Sunday Times, for example. Now, a person of my upbringing, Sunday Times can't get a grip, you know. Sunday Mirror, maybe, you know, like, News of the World, yeah, exactly, you know what I mean? Sunday Times, but it was brilliant for rolling your bottles of it, you know, so that nobody could see them. I used to go to the same one up, and then I thought, I keep going to the same place, I need to go to a different, so I used to drive up the lanes. There was another news agent come, nice, but everybody seemed to get used to it, you know. Oh, we're going to be back again then. And now, sorry, I was up in the lanes, and I come down the lane, and I park in this lane back, and I'd be drinking, and I'm opening the window and being sick, and I still stop drinking. I'm sorry, Bob, that's what it was, you know. I said it, and then I get back home, and then before dinner, oh, just get up and go a few cans of a few liveness, as I used to call them. Absolute net, you know. Same when I came home from work, I finished work at 2 o'clock on the day shift, right? I come past the spa, I didn't. I come to the spa, the car, for some reason, took over and just pulled in. I did that, and I'm telling her, go away. This car took over and pulled in. Straight in. And this gives my security away, flag and a sign there. Give me a flag. And I would go for the cheapest, but that would be the percentage. White lightning. Absolute dreadful stuff to taste. Hey, my goodness me, they did do the job. But only getting one. Only one, that would last me all day. But 3-hour. I'll get another one. I'd be like that all afternoon. Instead of picking up, say, 6 bottles and, no, I'd be back and forth, because there's only one I was going to have. That's all I ever, I'm back and forth, back and forth. Absolute nightmare, you know, and then it was, the other one was, Wyndham. There's something wrong with the downstairs toilet. Yeah? It's not flushing. Have a look. I said, it was a look, I don't have to drink. Well, I think I have to look at the yard now. So I just took the lid off. That's why it's not flushing. That's why they hit my 2 cars of swap in the tank. So the water. And you know, I'm not telling you because they are funny, but that's just the way it was. That's what my life was. It was just mad. Absolutely bonkers, you know? And I couldn't do nothing about it. You know, people say, oh, grow up, get a grip. Well, I did grow up a bit and I tried getting a grip, but it didn't do anything, you know? The other one was, yeah. We bought vodka back from Muddy Creek, actually. I thought, oh, we'll have a crack at that. Then she's on work. Say, we went up the shop. Oh, of course, when you get it from a, I don't know if they do it anymore, there was like a plastic plunger in it, you know, it wasn't unscrew it and to pour a, so you got plastic thing, you could only pour a shot kind of thing, well, I was over to me, so I got a Stanley knife, I cut it out. I could have kept going like that, I suppose, but and then after a couple of months I go, and I talked about order, obviously, the line was always the same, Linda at the Robert Walker, not like me. So I was talking to this, and then one day, months later, I don't know what, she said, oh, I'm going to drink a vodka. Okay, well, no, I'm not. You sure there's vodka in this? I'll say no more, I always say, well, I might be a little bit there somewhere, you know, what's this water? I one year then, I made some home brew cider for Christmas. Got the kit, I don't know, from Wyndham or anything. I made it. But, I need fermenting. I need to have a look at this. Make sure this tastes alright. Oh, this is nice. Problem was it was for Christmas, right? But I tasted it every day. And by about 3 days before Christmas, I took the top off of it. We have a problem there. There's no side there for Christmas Day, never mind anything much further. So I had to top it up with Strongbow. I think Christmas Day, and the sun was, I don't know, 68. Look at that, Mark. Wow, this is good, he said. Really good cider. Oh, it should be. Cost me arm and a leg, I did. But, you know, that was just the way it was. And this one particular Sunday, I'd been drinking all day. I went up the lanes drinking in the house, and I just had a, you know, just me. I got in the car, ran home again, drove into the pub I always used to drink in, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Yes, it was at 4 o'clock. Now I drank all day, and I drank all night. I got in the car, and I was driving home, and I could not. I smoked a little, but I don't know that. When I was drunk, I would try anything else. So, well, driving home, I could not, for the life of me, keep that car on the right side of the white line. And I was, suppose, 5-6 miles. 11 o'clock. No way. I'm in the middle of the road. And you know, first, I don't know why I thought, I can't keep doing this. If I get home in one piece by that, I can't keep doing this. This is bonkers. I thought I was at it. I missed something out. I will say.
Yeah, you say that you never went to the pub. You never ever went to
No, I was drunk. You know, this pub. When I was on my sober fast, I never went to the pub. I was. Wasn't me, you know, I just like anything else. But another thing I missed out, right, which I've got to say is as well, it's not a pretty thought, so I'm not that back again, no, but so it is. What? I really struggled, you know, I couldn't get a grip, seriously. Like I say, it wasn't one defining moment in my life. I think it was sitting on the toilet, as men sit to do what they do when they're sitting down, with the flag on the side in the hand, drinking, I can't go like that, crying my eyes out, and this is all true, right? And asking God, please, can you help me? Because I just couldn't see a way with it. I just couldn't, you know. It was, I've never ever contemplated talking to myself, as they say. And I never did then, but just for a second, what do I do? Get a grip? Grow up? You know, I was absolutely stumped. I don't know. Anyway, I just thought I'd tell you that because it was a big moment in my life. And I tell you, it did make it a lot better. Anyway, this drive home, I got to do something about this. So I thought, I'm going to have to tell him then. So I actually got only one piece, as you can see, one piece. Driving around the house. She was in bed. Big mistake, I've realised afterwards. Never wake up woman up and sleep at night. Don't ever do it. And especially turning around and saying, you know, I got a problem, I'm alcoholic. Whack! That's what I had, slap across the face. I fell back into bed and just burst out laughing because I'm not too. And she stormed off, went to drove the car to Swansea and didn't see it for a few days, but I did phone, I knew she was going to see her daughter. And she said, either you go to AA or we're finished. And of course I went, well, I've done it before on my own, then 4 years. I'll do that again. No, you need help. Big step, you know. And I was on afternoon shifts as well, so oh, I can't let the meetings, you know. So she said, phone. So I phoned the AA line. They were great, spoke to them, yeah, meetings, the Cardiff. Well, I can't go this week. Sorry. Told her that. Why did she say? There's a meeting Sunday afternoon in Cardiff in a church. She said, we'll go and see a film first, and then I'll drop it off. Oh, if I could concentrate on watching, but we did. And I went into this AA meeting in Cardiff. I tell you what, there was only 2 people in that meeting, 3 including me. And I tell you what, it was an eye-opener for me. Talking to them and them understanding being alcoholics themselves. And that was it. I came out from. But they put me in touch with AA in Bridgend, which is a place, a town closer to me. So we went to the AA meeting there, and then they went to Al-Anon, which was in the same building, but you know, I walked in there, and when I walked in, there was a guy in there that I knew, whom I knew for a long time, whom was an alcoholic. And I used to, here's me thinking, I said, do you used to make mistakes? Some states, you're always in a mess. And then I laugh face to face. Yeah, when you look into yourself, basically, you know what I mean? And you've been sober quite a while. And I thought, there's got to be something in this, because if he can come from where he came from and get sober, maybe there's a chance for me. The first weekend, I just, as you do, my name's Wyndham, and I just said this, be what I just told you. And AA is 12 steps, and you've got to do it. You've got to work. And it's very spiritual, AA. You'd be surprised how many people, how much spirituality there are. You know, they always put the God of your understanding, because they won't go all the way and say it's a God as I know God today, because it can put a lot of people off. And they don't want to do that, they want to draw people in. You know what I mean? And so that's the way it was. Now for me, a God out of my understanding then was a God I had known since I was a kid, sent to church and a chapel on Sunday, because to get from under my mother's feet I was so, you know, I enjoyed it. And the boys believed it, was it? You know, I got it. And right, okay. And but I struggled for you know, we struggled 12 steps. The first one is, I'm not going to go for one, admitted that you drink problem, you know, and I knew that, I knew. But for months, I struggled to come home crying. I just couldn't get a grip with it, you know. And don't you know, I wasn't the only one there that was in the same boat. I just said I was 25 years old. There were people there 20 years old, 25. I couldn't even think of being sober for 25 minutes. You know what I mean? I was up there 25 years ago. Well, I might as well be dead. You know what I mean? And I just couldn't believe it. I was shouting, oh, she said, I'm sober, I'm not a drink today at all. And then something happened. When I went there, and I was reading, I thought, oh, this is. But one day then, I thought, this is it, I've had enough of this, I'm on the drink. So I went up to the local spa, and I was there, and she. But I didn't. I bought 20 cigarettes. I'd given up smoking about 2 years earlier. I thought, no. And I started smoking again. But, you know, one addiction from another, you know. But it stopped me getting on it. I thought, I can't, you know, this is absolute. I can't tell you how horrendous it is, that feeling of. But I went to bed, I'm not sure if it was a sinner, but one night I went to bed and I was told, God told me that I would be okay. Now, don't get me wrong, there wasn't, I woke up in the morning and a big flash of lightning and I was well and sorted and sober and oh, because it wasn't. But, them words stuck with me. And when I started going to AA, it started to work for me. Things started dropping into place. And I thought, oh, hang on. They started getting easier for me. A day at a time, even an hour at a time, whatever. I'm not a drink today. Can I say that today? I'm not a drink today. I'm not a drink today. And that's the way it is. And it's in my pocket. Even Barney Charles could do this. Unbelievable.
It's me, James.
And it was just me, you know, and it really started to work, and I was actually enjoying it. I went to AA 4 times a week. More meetings, more chances, less meetings, less chance. That's the way it was. And there were all posters on the wall saying, God is good, God is this, and of your understanding, everything to try and help you on your way. And for me, no matter what addictive personality you got, if you can sit with like-minded people that have got addicted to it and talk, because all we did, and we drank gallons of coffee, which is why I was addicted to coffee. You know, and we talked. You know, I went to, I'll tell us the story, we went to a convention. AA was every year there was a convention. I think it was Holyhead. It was where the ferry, not Holyhead. Anyway, all the areas should be over, all extra, you know, there was. And then you got little meetings in different rooms, but there would be one main meeting in the night about 6 o'clock. And there were normally 5 people up on the stage. So we went in there, sat down, and I looked up, there was quite a few. There was only 4 people tonight, but there was an empty chair. And this guy got up and he started wandering around the hall. He went over there. What's he looking at me for? And he walked over and he said, God said I can meet you. So I'm not so interested. Fine, alright, what can I do for you? Mr. So-and-so, I'll say Murphy, right? From Ireland hasn't turned up to talk. Right? God has told me you should do it. Now, before I had a chance to say anything, Margaret Mayor says, he can't do it, he'll be sober 3 months. Slapped him on my back straight away. He said, hang on. And he said, what do you think? I don't know what I said, you know, sober 3 months and I'm to go on a podium and talk. I know that's one of my traits, I'm a good talker. You know, we all got gifts when mine's talking. There's no doubt about it, and you won't go out, so don't start, right? I'm loud normally. I don't know about this. All these people in there. And it was members of my own AA group in there. So, the thought that went through my head, right, was, well, if God has guided him to me, And I don't get up and do that, do this. I'm not a Christian. God's going to, if I don't do this, God's going to be coming back to me again. So I said, okay, I'll do it. She walked out. I got up on the stage. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I got up on the stage. Oh, let's get into it. But of course, I'm the last one to talk. And I'm sitting there, sweat is coming up to me. I was shaking there. I've always shaken, but since I stopped drinking as well, you know. What am I going to say? But you know, when it came to me, that's all I did was to share my experience, strength and hope. Nothing else, how it was. Now, and it was a big help to people. And I'm not bragging about nothing because that's not me, right? Because nearly all them other speakers, right, had X amount of years sobriety. And there were people in that audience, yeah, fine, but they needed somebody like me, who was quite sober, to see the problems I was still having. And when I come down off stage, and say, no, but quite a few people said, oh, that was brilliant, it's just what we needed to hear. And I thought, yeah. So, God is good. You know what I mean? And I still wasn't a Christian, you know what I mean? But he kept knocking at the door for me. You know, it was unbelievable. And it went on, you know, it went on, and I was a treasurer of it. I did 12 various roles. I was chairperson, important. But in the end, you weren't a thing. You just did what you did voluntarily, you know? And I'm trying to find it. Oh, that's right. We went on a spiritual retreat then, from a monastery, somewhere in England somewhere. Oh, it was an old building, but it's a new part. An old monks monastery, obviously. And oh, it's brilliant. And they were doing this, the fourth step, which is an important step where you've got to tell other people and whatever. And you know, it was a good exercise, but the monks would, in the evenings, and they'd have their thing, and they would sing and chanting. Oh, I tell you, it was phenomenal. You know, I stopped and I don't know, I just felt something. I don't know, something deep down in the, yeah, just one of those things. And then months went on, and then Linda's mother passed away. And in 2008, Linda was having back problems. And one of her friends who spoke in JVC, she was in England, obviously. She's a Christian. She asked Hazel, that's right. And great names are Hazel. I know really well. Hazel, she came over to school. She got leukemia. She came over and spoke to the JVC. Anyway, she came over and visited us. She knew what I was going through. And then Linda asked her about God. She said, well, why didn't you go on an Alpha course? She said the Alpha course, I got too long, because when I was into my running part of my life, right, I might have still been there, I'm not sure. But I used to run past the church, which we are now members of in Wales, and there used to be this big sign emblazoned on the front. Come on an Alpha course. That's all he said. And I thought it was some kind of secretarial course or, you know, something like that. Was it computer course, Alpha? I thought, oh, and then I went, oh, that's what it is. When we sent, or Linda, I think Linda did, sent emails out to all the local churches, right? Before about, to go on this Alpha course. Only one replied. And that was a church that was, at the strongest, was about 10 strong. And we go back and thought, right, they've got in touch with us, we'll go there. And Pastor and his wife met us in a very posh, I found way below the league, a very posh hotel come leisure place. It's where Cardiff City trains, where the Welsh rugby team stays and trains. No, I'm fitted in there like a brick. You know what I mean? You know, you go to the bar, glass of squash, yeah, £5.90 or whatever. I'm definitely in the wrong place, you know what I mean? But, you know, we walked in, and I tell you what, we're still friends with them today, they were brilliant. And there's only the two of us on that course, so you can imagine the courses. And I'm quite everything he said I believed. Whereas Linda would always ask questions. Well, what about this and what about that? And which was fair, and you know, they did the things I was thinking of, but absolutely brilliant. It was Saturday going to their church, and because there was so little of us, 10 of us, and then 4 of them left, it ended the church, just disbanded, you know. And it was sad, right? But I got, oh yes, that was something else about that place. We got baptised in that really posh place. The only two that's ever been baptised there, and the only two that ever will be baptised there, because there's no church there anymore. In the posh, in the swimming pool. In the night. It's absolutely, it was absolutely brilliant. I've been in there before when I was using this kid fit and not to be baptised. And it was absolutely stunning. It's funny, we had a caravan down West Wales, which we used to go to every weekend. And we went there a couple of weekends and we thought, can't do this anymore. We need to go to church. Because we didn't come back. And we saw living our Christian journey started, you know. And we went round here everywhere because that closed. And went to Cwmbran. There was a bit of a revival, I don't know if anybody knows it, but in Cwmbran, where there was this thing going on there, and we went there for quite some time. And then the pastor would have an affair with the secretary, so that blew up. Yeah, I tell you, you know, we see whenever we tried, things seem to go wrong, you know. So that was the end of that. And then we've been to this church with them a few times. It was just right on our doorstep. But in the end, we went there and we settled there. And, you know, after years and years, we come here. Now, it all sounds great, doesn't it? Some years I'm not before now. Just kind of stuff, doesn't it? You know, it all sounds like fun.
The hunt is going over there.
So, you know, I've had, what can I say, funny old life. But today, you know, I've got friends.
Somewhere, friends. Put your hands up.
No, I'm not doing that. I know that's going to go. You know, I am what I am. And, if I don't like somebody, I won't tell you. But you have to look at me and on my face and text me it, which I have wrote for quite often. I've got a good life today. You know, when I went back and did my civil service, you know, I never thought as a youngster of a pension, but certainly when I came to retire, I did make my way up in my job. I ended up an engineer in environment, so I didn't do too bad. And of course, by getting to an engineer, my pension
Index link.
indeed index linked. You will know what I'm going to say then, didn't it? So when I came to retire, we always thought we had a mortgage, an interest-only mortgage, and we thought we were going to be living in a caravan, but because of my index-linked mortgage, I had a bigger lump sum, and I had to pay my mortgage. Wow, brilliant, everything, and look at it. But there is it's tinged with a little bit of sadness, because when we spoke about it affects 8 people, well, it's like a pebble, drop it in the water, and then go to ripples. It does. Because today, as much as I've got a good life and I'm sober, my 2 boys, who are men, are both alcoholics. And are both drinking alcoholics. So, it's still not easy, you know what I mean? And there are times when I blame myself.
But you said it was a rectory.
Yeah. It's still hard at times, you know what I mean? It is. And there's a little story I have to tell about that. And I've tried, I've taken to AA, and that my eldest boy is a bit like me. When he's drunk, he's quite placid and goes to sleep. Oh, my youngest boy, and you know, they did the 30 years. He was in the army, he went to Ireland to see the thing. When he's drunk, and he's absolutely really causes trouble wherever he goes. He's been arrested, I don't know, these times, you know. And you know what? The honest thing is, I can't do nothing about it. Not a thing. They both know and they both accepted it. But they sold it for X amount, you know, it's back and forth, you know what I mean? And what did somebody say then? I said I was going to go back to it.
Do not believe in to AA.
Yeah, I've taken it away numerous times, you know, but on my youngest boy, you know, I'm not friends with him after this bit more. Because, when he's had a drink, he puts some horrendous stuff on there about me. You know, I wasn't the best father. I know I wasn't. You know, they saw things that they should never have seen. I used to pick them up from in a car when they were living with their mother. I moved in with Linda, you know, and there would be a slab of 24 cans of Strongbow on the back seat where they were in, and a can between my legs open. You know, they just took it as the norm. And it was, you know, for me it was. And today for them, the youngest one's unemployed. You know, I got a phone call from him again. Can you lend? Can you? No. So in a way, you know, I could do food drama on myself actually to learn how to deal with it. Because, you know, it's tough life. You got yourself into that, you sort it out, buddy. You know what I mean? And it's been hard work. But, so yeah, I have got a good life today, don't get me wrong, and I have got good friends here in Wales. Yeah, a few. But I tell you what, when you stop drinking, right, then you find out who your real friends are. You do. Because once I stopped drinking, let me tell you, not many people who drink wanted to know me anymore. Because they were just drinking buddies. Because they got in the same state as me and they just hang us on. You know what I mean? And it's sad really, but that's the way it was. And the good friend that used to buy me all my beer cider when I gave him the lift was also an alcoholic. And he died from it.
Yeah.
And you know what, I remember driving past him outside the pub and he was yellow, he joined us. But there was nothing I could do because I was still sorting myself out. There was nothing I could do for him. And in a little way, I won't say it haunts me, but he's a really nice guy. And it's a horrible death. Because I knew his father really well, because we all worked in the mint. And I spoke to his father afterwards and his father was absolutely, he didn't know anything, he knew he drank, but not. He said we just took him to hospital. We examined it, the guy came out and said, you know, I said, can I go see my son? He said, you can't go and see him now. Because he's not going to last so long. It's no problem, I know you're a joke. I go see him now because he's not going to last that long. He's actually bleeding from every orifice. You know, a lot of way to go. You know, alcohol is, as I said in there, it's so dangerous. It's legal. You know, and once, like I said, once you, even if you don't become an alcoholic, right, once you're drunk, most people will do anything. Do you want to do this? Do you want to snort at this? Oh, well, from here anyway, now, my drug of choice is cycling. So I don't do the Forrest Gump thing anymore now. I just cycle, it's a little bit easier, you know what I mean? And I think that's it for me, but are there any questions? Because I've never done that before.
Yeah, well,
I knew you'd ask a question.
Why?
I don't know why. This is
Yes.
very out.
I think it's very brave of you and
Oh, thank you.
demons you've had to conquer, and it seems to me that, bearing in mind what you chose about your two sons, you're never going to escape alcoholism.
No.
And it reminds me of a Japanese proverb: a man takes a drink takes a drink takes a man.
And yeah, I like that. It's true. It's, yeah. Anybody else got a question? I'm open.
When you say an alcoholic, you've always been an alcoholic.
Yes.
Do you consider yourself an alcoholic?
Yes, I am changed. The only thing I can
Do you
say.
call yourself recovering, not recovered?
Oh, you
No,
never
but you've
recover.
been recovered.
There are some people out there, right, and I'm not going to knock them because each to their own, but I think that drug and alcohol abuse centres, certainly 10, 15 years ago, would say that you would take a drink. No, that's absolutely rubbish. If any, you know, I actually spoke to somebody, they said, well, no, you can't. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I can actually, I think after 25 years, I can actually think I can put the recovering part in front of alcoholic. I'm still recovering, and I will till the day I die.
But you'll never have another drink?
No. Well, no. I can't say that. No, I can't say that. I tell you what I say, right?
That's your plan?
Yes, I am not a drink today,
No.
except for orange juice.
Day at a time.
Today and time, and I live my life a little bit like that as well. Linda likes to plan things, and she go out, and I'm like, yeah, maybe.
And you still go to AA?
That's the question.
No, I don't. It's funny because when I started going to church and all
That's your AA.
that, it is just I don't know. It took over. You know, I didn't. I'm going to explain. I didn't feel the need to go to AA. You know, I did. I think it was about 15 years, 4 times a week. And let me tell you, like, I very rarely missed. When I was working in the Royal, they wanted to change my shift patterns to a continental shift pattern, which was an absolute nightmare. Because we worked, I think it was 10 days off, a couple of days off. No, I couldn't do that. And I hadn't told the Royal Mint about my problem, right? Because I was afraid of being sacked. It's another good story again. But I thought, they put me on the shift pattern, and before it started, with the following month, I thought, I've got to do something about this, otherwise I'm going to be in trouble here. About 2 or 3 years sober, something like that. Still not confident enough not to go away. So I went to see the guy in charge of the tree, and I wasn't union member, and I was a shop steward. So I went to see the union ladies, and I explained to him, he said, look, are you sure you're not? No, I didn't want to go continental anyway, to be honest with you. Are you sure you're not just using this as an excuse not to go continental? I said, no, it's not an excuse. I said, I need my meetings. More meetings, more chances.
Yeah.
He said, right, go to the personnel manager now, and have a chat with him. Now, this is where the rugby comes in handy. Now, I know the personnel manager really well, because he played for a rugby team. Anyway, but, so I know what I told him, and do you know what? He said, Wyndham, you've been a very silly boy. He said, yes, no problem, come on continentals. You can come off and we'll put something else in the place. But he said, if you'd come and spoke to us when this started happening, he said, we could have helped you. He said, really? He said, we help people with their problems. We send them away. We take them, not send them away, it's all kind of. I mean, side note, they put on a course where you stay. And I thought, he said, but, you know, that's the way it was for me. I just thought, okay, well, it's my job, you know, and I went back and they never, you know, that was it. They knew. So, you know, it was great, you know, and it was strange because for many years, you know, in the beginning, I wouldn't tell so. Not this. Now, I tell everything because I don't care. I am what I am, right? I'm a recovering alcoholic, and if I can help somebody, but because sometimes you can be sitting at the table and I could be talking to them, somebody over there, if they got a problem, might pick up on me. I think, I'll have a chat with them. And it happens, you know what I mean? And that's why I kept going to AA as well. For me, and for the other people in AA that were coming in, and I'll tell you one thing about Cardiff was a brilliant place to go. I used to keep going there quite regularly because I saw more in there than any place. People were coming off the streets to the AA meetings, not like I am today, sober and clean. They'd be walking in, you know, like tramps. They've got drinking and you say, oh, look at this. And, you know, you die for this, look at this. And I go, oh, there's you, mate, there's you.
Yeah.
That is you walking in here. So that's what this place is for. And Cardiff AA was brilliant because they used to come in off the streets and I think, oh, look at this state. But we sit down and talk, and like I thought of that guy that I knew, if he could do it, I could do it. But let me just say that God said I would be okay, and I was. But let me tell you, and this is my opinion of God, right? He's not, whatever we got, God in our life, right? Oh, I got this from, I got that, I pray. Yeah, it's great. But you've got to make an effort yourself as well, because God, I think, says, right, okay, I've given you the tools, now you use them, and then I'll meet you halfway, but you've got to help yourself as well. And I had to, let me tell you, even though it was, like I said, it wasn't, I'd kill it. It was hard work, let me tell you, moments, down moments, and all the moments, like my boys went, it was an absolute nightmare. But, don't impress people. I got through it, you know, I'm still here today, I'm still alive. And it's another thing, when I was drinking, I always wanted to die at 60. Die at 60.
He's a guy.
Oh, yeah. Now, you can imagine, right? You can imagine now, I've been sober, say, I don't know many years, and I was coming up to 60, I thought, oh, flipping heck.
Yes.
Please, can I take all that back? Yeah, my 60th birthday coming, I thought, hey, I'm still breathing, but I've got to wait till I go past midnight, and that's a strange thing with that. Yeah, go on.
You've led me into another thing. I mean, our speaker last month, two of them, AA got them through as well, and they spoke highly of AA. AA, you help each other as well at these meetings. I think there's probably a need in Harvey, Benita, Chelmer, Iowa. I know that Arnie said that his partner couldn't come last month, she was away at an AA meeting. Do you know of any AA meetings in our area? No, you don't. No, I don't. Because I think as we as Christians, we want to help each other. God expects us to help each other, and I think there's probably a need. I'm more than sure there's a need in our area for
I'm
it.
sure.
I think it might be that we need to seek it out.
Yeah, I'm sure you're correct, right? Because it's a worldwide thing. It's not just Bill Dublin and Dr. Bob, the ones that wrote the big book, which was it's called the big book. It was my Bible at the time, and it looks like a Bible as well. Absolutely brilliant book. Another little story. It was so embarrassing. I wanted a big book, right? Desperately wanted a big book. So I went into W.H. Smith, this is going back 30 years ago. I looked in it and I said, have you got a big book? You what? Have you got a big book? A big book? I said, you never heard of it? No. Well, that's what they call it in the big book. I said, did you have alcoholics? No.
But John, you're saying that there's no AA groups around here, but in those local rags, the Costa Blanca News.
Yes,
There's
adverts.
adverts for AA.
Yeah.
And with them, I just want to ask, these AA meetings, are they as portrayed by, as you see them in the TV, or where you sit in a circle and you say, my name is Wyndham and I'm an alcoholic?
Yes, that's true. You never see your last name.
Yeah.
What was your first name?
If I could say on that one, James's suggestion for today was that we conduct this meeting after breakfast, clear the tables and sit in a circle. I mean, it didn't seem
Let me just see something.
practical to me, but as Wyndham said,
Would I expect us to admit?
no, I didn't. It wasn't. To get the feeling, because Wyndham were going to stand up.
I need to say it's not in a circle.
No.
That's I was a horseshoe.
Oh, I see.
Hey, that all depends on the building.
Yeah.
Because and the reason a lot of what's people often a lot of the times AA meetings are in churches. Do you know why? Because they never charge you.
Yeah.
Whereas we went to the council, right, for where we used to go, it's a council building, but we have to pay rent on that. And sometimes, funds, because hospitals, yeah, I went to one in hospitals, they didn't charge you, but all you did at the end of every meeting, you say the serenity prayer, always enhance serenity prayer. And you put in a bag. If you didn't have no money, it's like church, if you didn't have money, you didn't put in, you just put in what you could afford. And another thing was, right, and I was treasurer, when you say, I don't know, 20, it could vary in membership, but like not members. And when we come to, say, 3 monthly, and I would say, right, there's £300 in the kitty. Then we would say, right, 2 months rent, keep back, X amount of money for literature, the rest will go to the head office, to other people, other aid will work down. We never ever kept any monies back for anything except for them two things, to pay our rent and the rest. All of it went right off and they spread it about whenever it was needed.
And do you find, Wyndham, with your experience, that when you know people and meet people, people who become alcoholics don't realise what they're doing?
No, they don't.
No.
They don't, that's the first step, admitting, You've got,
I had
don't
two
realise
friends
that's
who
acceptable.
became alcoholics, well, and the family member, and the two friends admitted eventually,
Yeah.
but they didn't admit they had a drink problem. But my family member has still got a drink problem, but he says he hasn't.
Yeah, well, that's one of the biggest problems with most people that got a drink problem is that they haven't got a drink problem. But if you can't,
It's not the amount they drink. I don't
no, no,
think.
no, 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 no.
It's regularity.
Yeah,
That's the way.
It's not. It's just that's you're correct, right? Because people say, oh, you want to go 15 past. It doesn't matter how many I've had. It's only the first one, you know. But when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I would think of is a drink. That is
Even
not.
now.
No.
Oh, because, yeah.
Yeah, now it's a coffee.
I
But
just,
that's the problem. If you're waking up in the morning, the first thing you think of is a drink, there's a problem. Definitely.
I was in a similar environment to you with
Yeah, because you're
sport, and I would think from the age of 30 to 50, which is when I had a heart attack, my first heart attack, I was drinking at least 10 pints a day,
You can imagine.
probably some days 50, every day,
Yeah.
not one day, and I just functioned as if
Nothing
nothing,
was going
I
on.
wasn't having a drink break.
Yeah, I know.
But
Now,
some people might say I'm a social alcoholic, but
I would certainly think, you know, it's not for me to tell you anything like that, because you don't tell other people that are alcoholics. But I would certainly say, listen to what you say. I don't know you, but I know there was certainly a bit of a problem.
yeah, I
Definitely.
think I was drinking a lot.
Well, no, you don't.
And then when I moved from England to France, and because I was a beer drinker,
Yes.
I didn't drink shorts. When I moved from England to France, I'd had a heart attack by then, so that affected me. But when I moved to France, there was nothing to drink. There was wine, which I didn't drink, shorts, which I didn't drink, and the beer was lager beer, which is the same as here, San Miguel type of beer. And I hated it, so I stopped drinking. I only have a few, nowadays we go out now, I have a couple of cans of John Smith's.
Yeah.
So Steve, the cure type of this moved to France.
Because you're talking about that's what it's hereditary. So I go back. So I was thinking back when this heredity first came out. I don't know my family is picking that. My grandfather, he was. Hey, if I could drink, you want to see him drink it. I said, what's the matter? And he said, you know this drinking problem? It's not all my fault, you know. Always looking to blame somebody else, you know what I mean? She said, what do you mean? She said, what about your father, my grandfather? He was always drunk. She said, you're right. I said, I know I'm right. So I said, hereditary. No. I said, why not? Because he wasn't your grandfather and he wasn't my father.
That's probably a good time to stop.
It was the association with alcohol.
That's right. But my mother was addicted, but she was addicted to prescription tablets. My mother would have a bag like a flipping suitcase. And it, no matter what was wrong with her, she had a tablet to clear everything. And on that,
Think that might be wanting to clear for lunch.
thank you very much.
Well done, Wyndham.